Joe Madison is on the line. The Eagle has landed. He's the host of the Joe Madison Show, joemadison.com. Joe, can you hear me? No, somebody else has his attention.
Oh no, you've got my full attention.
Oh yeah, Joe, you're here.
You have my full attention. I'm sorry,
Okay,
man. Let me apologize. I think that you know how it is.
I know how it is.
You know, a lot of friends and people you haven't seen in years, and of course, that's what can you do?
Yep.
You know, say hello. But I'm here. You've got my full attention.
I was just saying the Eagle has landed.
Yes,
Joe Madison, joemadison.com. Joe, you recently had, last night Michelle Obama just knocked it out of the park. It was one of the best speeches I've ever seen in my life, by anybody, just period. You spent some time with Michelle Obama. You've spent time with her husband, Barack Obama, as well. But you interviewed her recently. I'm curious, what your thoughts are on that. What came out of that interview and what your thoughts are on Michelle Obama.
Well, we had what I guess turned out to be an exclusive interview the day before, and we were able to air it. And I asked her a very simple question. 4 years ago, you had to introduce yourself and your husband and family to a nation that really didn't know you other than through campaigning. How is it going to be different this time? And, she said, look, I'm going to talk about the human side of being president of the United States. I'm going to talk about how I felt when I first met him, how I fell in love with him, how he's the same man I fell in love with. And then she also spent a great deal of time talking to me about how she wanted to talk about the work that she and Jill Biden, Thom, had done for the families of veterans. She pointed out that it's very difficult when families of veterans have to move from one city to another, and let's say they're professionals, like a professional nurse or a teacher, and they have to get recertified every time they move. And President Obama, because of her work with the families, was able to get laws passed or an act that allowed these individuals to cut that certification time so that when they moved from, let's say, one base to another base in another state, they could continue to occupy or continue their occupation. But I got to tell you, the difference between Ann Romney and Michelle Obama was every last one of us could relate. I mean, I related to that first date, and the kind of car that we all had. I related to a family, a grandfather who, gave me $50 when I went off to college, and that was, a struggle for him. I related when she said, it's not how much money you make, it's how much difference you make in people's lives.
Right.
That's what I related to, because and I could hear my grandmother as she was talking. I had flashbacks of my grandmother telling me, Joe, there's always going to be poor people. There's always going to be people who have less than you. There's always going to be people who have more than you, but always treat everybody the same. That's what I heard yesterday.
Yeah, that's a noble message, and she's an extraordinary messenger. I'm curious, a little off topic, but I'm curious. Alan West was just appointed as head of the one of three heads of the Black Leadership Council for the Republican Party.
Well, so what? So that means what? He's head of what? 3 people? I mean, I could, that's of all the people that you would put head of anything in the Republican Party. Look, this man wasn't even allowed to sit in the front row at the Republican National Convention. They put all their crazies in the back. And they did. And, because they had the moderates on stage, they didn't have any of their extremists out front.
You know, you're right.
Now, you know that, and people ought to understand the optics of that. Yeah. Allen West didn't have a speaking role. You didn't have that many African Americans. He's got to be one of the most outspoken African Americans. He didn't have a speaking role. You got Herman Cain. He didn't have a speaking role. So what? Now you've dug to the, you know. You remember when we were young? You remember the cheap wine they used to sell in the liquor store?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, the
Thunderbird,
Boone's Farm, and all that.
Boone's Farm.
That came from the bottom of the barrel.
Yep.
And that's exactly, as far as I'm concerned, what they've done without appointing Allen West. They've dug to the bottom of the barrel. You know, let me tell you something. I'm so angry with some of these guys. We've got a guy here who's on one of our channels here on Sirius XM. And yesterday, after the speech, he actually told his audience the only criticism he came up with at the end of the speech was that Democrats don't know how to clean up after themselves. Look, they left all the litter and signs down. And do you know that he said, he told his audience, I'm going to go down there and help clean up the litter. And did it.
That's
did it.
strange.
I mean, how weird is that? I mean, here we are talking about, I just heard you talking about health care, public policy issues. We're talking about deficit spending, and all he could come up with from yesterday's speeches, and by the way, he's a veteran, and all he could come up with yesterday was, well, the Democrats littered the Time Warner cable arena, as if the Republicans picked up their signs in Tampa.
Right, yeah. It's remarkable. Joe Madison, The Joe Madison Show on Sirius XM. JoeMadison.com is the website. Joe, it's always an honor and a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you so much.
My best to you and your family.
Thank you, and the same to you and yours. Joe, thank you very much.